During the Sunday service that took place on November 24th at the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, Bishop T.D. Jakes, who is a beloved pastor, spiritual mentor, and worldwide revered leader, left his congregation and online audience with a profound sense of concern. The unexpected health scare that the 66-year-old bishop, who is known for his forceful sermons and unshakable commitment to spreading the word, experienced sent shockwaves through the crowded sanctuary as well as among his millions of followers who were watching from across the world. The church, which was packed to capacity with people anxious to embrace the wisdom of Bishop Jakes, became the hub of fear and uncertainty when the renowned preacher discovered that he was experiencing an unexpected medical emergency. During the middle of Jakes' talk, there was a discernible shift in his mood, which immediately sparked concerns that he might have experienced a serious health event, such as a stroke or a heart attack. The gravity of the situation rippled throughout the crowd, with many people bending their heads in prayer, others muttering in concern, and some tears falling from their eyes. The service started with Bishop Jakes sitting, which was a break from his typical lively manner. He spoke sincere comments about his dedication to his calling and the affection he bears for the people he serves, and despite this, his passion for ministry shone through as he spoke. While he was speaking on the significance of faith, resilience, and endurance in the face of the adversities that life presents, his voice resounded throughout the church with a conviction that was packed with conviction. Despite this, it appeared like his energy was decreasing as he persisted, as well as his movements being less consistent. His heavy breathing and a minor pause in his speaking were detected by those who were closest to the pulpit, which led to an undercurrent of concern among those who were present. Being the outstanding leader that he is, Jakes made an effort to push through the discomfort, his determination to deliver the message outweighing his obvious agony. Nevertheless, a few moments later, the tension in the room became tangible, as the bishop was obviously unable to continue giving his speech. Both the ministry team and the medical personnel of the church moved quickly to respond. During the time that Jakes was being carefully cared to, ushers and security staff silently coordinated their efforts to maintain order while moving to aid the bishop. During this time, a number of members of the congregation linked their hands in prayer and raised their voices to seek for divine intervention and healing for their cherished leader. The social media platforms were overwhelmed with messages of worry, encouragement, and shared prayers for Jakes' speedy recovery from his illness caused by the online audience that was tuned in from all around the world. Especially for someone like Bishop T.D. Jakes, whose influence stretches far beyond the walls of his church, the unanticipated incident came as a sobering reminder of the physical and emotional toll that goes along with ministry work. Over the course of several decades, he has made a significant impact on a great number of people's lives through his sermons, writings, films, and leadership, which has earned him a position as one of the most revered spiritual personalities of our day. The health scare that he experienced caused many people to contemplate the weight of his obligations and the need of making self-care a number one priority, despite the fact that they appear to be so much larger than life. An outpouring of love and support from the Christian community and beyond filled social media platforms with people giving tales of how Bishop Jakes had influenced their lives. This occurred as the news of the occurrence went throughout the world. Messages of encouragement and well wishes poured in, which is a clear indication of the significant impact that his ministry has had all over the world. Despite the fact that the ceremony was disrupted, the congregation did not waver in their faith and stayed unified in their conviction that their spiritual leader will emerge more powerful than ever before. The world watched, prayed, and waited for updates on the health of the man who has spent his entire life encouraging others to walk fearlessly in their faith. As the details surrounding his condition became clearer, the world had been watching, praying, and waiting for updates. Even now I enjoy giving sermons. The declaration made by Bishop T.D. Jakes, which was delivered with such ardent sincerity that it reverberated throughout the Potter's home, was that he was not tired of preaching. It is a monument to the profound connection that he has developed with his followers over the course of decades of preaching that his Congregation responded to his sincere words with a wave of loud applause and affirming cheers. As Jakes wiped his face, his voice reflecting both vulnerability and strength, he said with tangible affection, "I miss you." Jakes was seated, but he was unwavering in his desire to inspire others. More than just a fleeting sentiment, this declaration was more than that. The experience provided a look into the heart of a guy who has devoted his entire life to assisting others through the ministry that he practices. Additionally, Jakes continued to give a moving analogy that highlighted the transformational potential of preaching. Jakes is well known for his strong ability to connect with people from all walks of life. He emphasized that when you go to see people in a hospital, you may feel as though you are giving something away, but in reality, you are receiving more than you gave. He used the metaphor of visiting patients. His voice, which was gravelly, with passion, conveyed the weight of appreciation and great affection for his congregation as he concluded, "I love you." His voice was delicate yet forceful. At that precise instant, the atmosphere in the room was filled with a sense of reverence and mutual adoration between the pastor and his congregation. Peter, who not only gives but also receives inspiration from the very people he serves, was receiving inspiration from his congregation. The cathedral was filled with clapping and congratulations, but there was also a faint undercurrent of fear that began to ripple through the space. As Jake held the microphone in his hand, he noticed that his hand began to shake slightly. In the beginning, the tremors were so weak that people who were seated further away were nearly unable to detect them. He instinctively lowered the microphone, possibly in an attempt to conceal the unsettled state of affairs. However, those who were paying close attention did not miss the significance of the moment. As it became apparent that the bishop was enduring physical suffering in order to give his message, the words of the bishop, which were already replete with wisdom and vulnerability, now had an additional layer of poignancy. At that same moment, the clapping of the congregation went from being a simple expression of appreciation to a heartfelt acknowledgement of the tenacity and commitment of their cherished leader. It was obvious that Bishop Jakes was struggling with a moment of human weakness. This was a harsh reminder of the weight he wears as a spiritual leader, a public person, and a man who is passionately committed to his calling. Bishop Jakes has spent decades pouring his heart and soul into his ministry. When Bishop T.D. Jakes continued his speech, his tone became more solemn and prayerful, and his cadence became more prayerful. It was with such reverence that the chamber fell silent as he pleaded with the Lord, "Now, Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. O Lord, my Savior and my strength, please allow them to depart in tranquility." His words were hung on every syllable by the congregation, which was always attentive. They experienced a lifting of their spirits as a result of the powerful prayer that has become consistent with his ministry. Nevertheless, as soon as the words left his mouth, a discernible change took place. A tremor could be felt throughout Jake's body, which was an irregular and unsettling occurrence. This was the handkerchief that he had been using, slid out of his grasp and dropped to the ground, a moment that was brief but revealing that indicated that something was wrong when it occurred. His crew, which is always on the lookout for potential dangers, immediately grasped the potential gravity of the situation. His armor-bearers and support personnel rushed into action without any hesitation, and they moved quickly toward the stage in order to render help. In the midst of the reverent calm, urgent voices could be heard coming from the sound system of the church. Those who were a part of Jake's team could be heard instructing the assembly with statements that were authoritative but unruffled. Take a step back. Help him out by giving him some space. Not only was the request a direction, but it also served as a barrier of protection to make certain that the cherished pastor could receive the care and attention he needed without disturbance from the audience or more pressure from the mob. The mood in the room went from one of celebration to one of concern with the passage of time. There were a great number of worshipers who lowered their heads in prayer, while others exchanged nervous glances with one another, intently hoping that their spiritual leader would recover. It was clear that the congregation's affection for Jakes was reflected in their collective response, which demonstrated that their faith remained unwavering even in the midst of the chaos. People who were watching from their homes were just as concerned. Prayers and words of support for the guy who has contributed so much to their lives are being posted on social media in overwhelming numbers. And someone who is typically seen as a source of strength was shown to be vulnerable at that very moment. However, even in this particular case, Jake's connection to his congregation and his persistent faith served as a reminder of the shared humanity that lies at the heart of spiritual leadership. In the course of the unfolding events, the camera that was recording the live service adjusted its aim and began to sweep across the congregation. People who were worshiping stretched their hands toward Bishop T.D. Jakes, despite the fact that they were obviously scared but unified in their faith. It was a remarkable demonstration of their love and regard for the man who had guided so many of their spiritual journeys that they came together to pray and show their support with one another. The sanctuary was filled with calm mutterings of prayer, which produced an atmosphere that was dense with worry but unyielding in optimistic anticipation. In the midst of the chaos that was taking place on stage, calls for divine intervention could be heard coming from members of the congregation. May the Lord's healing power envelop him completely. Jesus, come and touch him. The spiritual intensity that Jake personally had so frequently inspired was reflected in the physical energy that was present in the room. At that very instant, it appeared as though time had stopped moving. The well-being of their cherished pastor was the primary concern of the entire congregation. Over the course of the unfolding events, the live stream that was recording the service abruptly came to an end. It is said on page 6 that the broadcast was terminated shortly after the occurrence, which has left a large number of online viewers with questions that have not been answered and a growing sense of insecurity. In spite of the interruption, the emotionally charged scenario had already been uploaded on several social media platforms, which sparked an immediate and widespread response. Within a short period of time, social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook were inundated with messages from concerned followers of the clergy, and admirers, as users posted prayers, poignant words, and personal testimony of how Jake's ministry had changed their lives. Hashtags such as #PrayForJakes and #BishopJakes began to trend on social media platforms, while others drew into their faith and urged the internet community to join hands in solidarity. Others expressed shock and astonishment with their statements. An individual tweeted, "Now it is our turn to pour back into him," and followed the message with a video clip of the moment just before the feed was turned off. Another individual expressed their belief that Bishop T.D. Jakes is a treasure to the community of believers, and they prayed for his health and strength. In addition, the rumors and speculations on what had taken place started to spread quickly. Many people speculated that Jakes had experienced a stroke or some catastrophic health event, and pundits and medical professionals shared their thoughts on the indicators that were obvious. In spite of this, there was a conspicuous lack of official comments, which allowed for the proliferation of rumors. Despite the lack of clarity, there was one thing that remained consistent: the outpouring of love and support from the community as a whole. People from all around the world who are members of the church and fans expressed their hope that Bishop Jakes would recover and continue to be an inspiration. There was more to the conversation that took place online than just fear or worry. It was a demonstration of the significant influence that Jakes has had on millions of people. In the case of many people, it was not simply a pastor who had gone through a difficult time. It was like having a father figure. They serve as a guide and a source of inspiration in their own lives. As people from all around the country and the world began to express their concerns and pray for Bishop T.D. Jakes, the emotional outpouring continued to overwhelm social media platforms. From the perspective of one person who is reflecting on their own personal medical experience, it appears to be a stroke. If I sat for an excessive amount of time with my legs hanging, I experienced the same effect. The occurrence of a blood clot occurred just in such manner. During the process of attempting to piece together what could have caused the scary occurrence, This comment struck a chord with a group of people. Regarding the likely medical causes, some individuals speculated, with one concerned follower expressing their hope that it was not pneumonia. There was a cascade of explanations that emerged as a result of the uncertainty that surrounded the situation. Some of these theories suggested that stress might have had a part. The stress that was caused on by the claims was brought on by the immense pressure that many public personalities, especially pastors, frequently feel when navigating controversy or personal issues was highlighted in a piece of writing that was written by one individual. The overriding feeling was one of hope and compassion, despite the fact that there was a lot of uncertainty. The platforms were swamped with messages of support, and followers wrote prayers to him and his family. We are praying for healing and restoration, and we are saying that we believe it will happen. Bishop Jakes has developed a profound relationship with people all around the world, as seen by the outpouring of affection that he has received from his congregation, internet followers, and colleague pastors. Sarah Jakes Roberts, Jake's daughter, posted an update on Instagram later that evening, assuring everyone that their prayers and support were greatly appreciated. She also promised that she would continue to keep everyone updated. I cannot express how grateful I am for your prayers and worries. Sarah opened the video that was full of emotion by saying, "We feel the love." She expressed her gratitude to the community for the extraordinary response that they had provided while she was standing next to her husband, Tor Roberts. Tor, adding more comfort, stated that Bishop Jakes was receiving the care he required, but he encouraged people to continue praying for his health and recovery.